Welcome to Clicks and Coffee. I'm Alexander, and here we dive deep into the journeys of entrepreneurs and marketing innovators. Each episode, we uncover the challenges, triumphs, and unique strategies of our amazing guests, giving you valuable insights and inspiration. Our goal is to build a community of growth oriented professionals ready to learn, collaborate, and thrive in the ever evolving world of digital marketing. So, whether you're here for the latest trends or looking for that next big idea, you've come to the right place. And today we're joined by Tyler Becks, a seasoned software engineer with a rich background in full stack development and a passion for creating innovative solutions. Tyler is the founder of Fuego, a platform that combines recommendations from top critics and trusted friends to help users discover restaurants they will love. We will delve into his journey in the tech industry, the inspiration behind Fuego, and how he's leveraging technology to enhance the dining experience. Tyler, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me, Alex. It's quite the introduction.
Just going off of what you've done.
Yeah.
So now that we have this amazing introduction, can you tell us a little bit about your background and how you got to where you are today?
Of course, I'd love to. Software engineer. I'm a software engineer that I've been working. My first job was at a parking startup called Smarking.
Smarking.
They were built Smarking. Yeah, it's on my LinkedIn. You can see it. They actually were acquired not too long ago, but they were doing parking industry related things. We built this dashboard for parking professionals. And after that, I worked at LinkedIn, and that's where I spent a majority of my career. For the past 5.5 years, I was at LinkedIn, and we were building big enterprise software. I was working on the recruiter product for most of it. And so I have a focus on the front end, and I think that's where most of my abilities shine. But, I get it done on the back end. I do what I have to do. So you introduced Fuego. That's the product that I've been working on most recently. And it actually started a few years ago as a CLI script. I was just running. I would research restaurants, and I would look up I would go to a new city. I'd go to San Diego. I'd go to Austin. I'd go to New York, and I would go to Google and I'd type in best restaurants here, and I'd see all these lists pop up, and I would get so overwhelmed by the amount of restaurants and lists that I would find. I just built this scraper that would scrape these lists. It would normalize the names, and it would show you which restaurants are recommended the most. And I was just running it from my computer locally. And I had enough friends that were reaching out because I told them I built this thing, and I had enough friends reaching out, and they were like, "Yo, homie, can you give me access to Fuego? Can you run it on like Seattle? Can you run it on this city?" And so I was like, "Yeah, sure." So I was just like scraping, and I was doing all these things, and I was just copy and pasting and putting it out there. So I got to the point that I was like, I think it'd make more sense for me to just make a website. I'm good at building front end, so I'll make a website, I'll deploy it, and I'll just like put these lists. And the website honestly was like, it was like static text. And also the only reason I named it Fuego is, I like the name, but I would just put fire emojis next to everything that popped up. And so I was like, well, I'll just call it Fuego for now. And I just put it out there. So that's sort of the origin story, and it's evolved a lot more since then, but that was the background. And I really enjoyed, it was such a passion project of mine while I was working on big tech, especially at LinkedIn. I'm so grateful for LinkedIn, but sometimes working on these really big code bases it's just a completely different type of career. And so working on this thing and then eventually taking the leap and working on it full time after LinkedIn was, one of the most exciting things. And it's one of the things that keeps you sharp as an engineer.
Yeah, because it's not just, one small part of the code. It's like clearly the entire thing. So
what I've learned is a couple things is that everything that I don't do is very hard. Like design, very hard. Product, very hard. Marketing, I can't even start marketing, extremely hard. Like I don't take these things for granted anymore.
Yeah, no, for sure. And then no, but it's a really interesting idea, because I agree with you, and I try to do the same. I love discovering new restaurants. I love trying things. So that's one of the things that I really love doing. And every time, like, I don't want to go to like the famous restaurant, because the famous restaurant, it's not very interesting unless it's like very famous for a reason. But usually it was famous for a reason, and then the whole thing kind of fell apart, and it's more about like how many how many people we can get into the restaurant rather than like how cool the restaurant was. But I always
Sure.
try to look for that weird, quirky restaurant, and it's always hard because in Google, as you said, you
Mm,
just get overwhelmed by list and list and list and list and list, and you don't
yeah.
really have something where you can, really gather all this info from professionals and from other users.
And so I'd love to talk about where I've taken it since then. I was just running it as a side project, and it pretty much worked the same way the whole time. Um, and that I would just take all the different sources. And so there was Eater, Thrillist, Michelin, Condé Nast, Time Out, Infatuation. And then I introduced more things like James Beard, the World's 50 Best list. When I was in Japan this year, I added Tabalog, and there's a few other sources that are local to just some countries or cities. I have Statesman in Austin. That's only in Austin. I was talking to a friend of mine in Austin. I lived in Austin for 2 years, and I was talking to him about my app, and he likes the hole in the walls, and he likes the quirky restaurants, and he hates going to the places that everyone goes to, as you were saying. And that's actually, I realized that I wanted my app to work for more people than just people that do it exactly like the way that I research restaurants. And the problem is that I trusted these sources. I liked these sources. I don't trust them so much anymore, but I used to. But he didn't. And that, I think, was the fundamental problem with what I was doing and what is happening right now on all these other websites, is that people don't trust the sources. And so, the question is, do you trust Eater? Do you trust Michelin? Do you trust Infatuation? For some of those, you might answer yes. For some of those, you might answer no. And so what I've been doing recently is I've been trying to create a platform that's built on following sources that you trust. And that's sort of core to how it works now. And one of the things, there's a big data source out there that's available to all of us. And one of the things is that, that there are some people and some sources that you trust for recommendations, and some of those people are your friends. So I have created a new platform. Basically, it works exactly the way it used to if you want it to work that way. But now you can invite your friends to the platform, and those friends can sync their lists from Google, because people kind of maintain their list of recommendations and their favorite restaurants in Google Maps. I built this scraper that scrapes Google Maps. It imports it into Fuego. And the way that you can see now is that you can subscribe to these sources like Michelin, and you can subscribe to your friends. And so you'll be able to see everyone in one place. I think the problem is that on Google, on Yelp, on everything, people are reviewing things and they rate it from 1 to 5. First of all, I think that's a flawed way to review things.
And most of people is like, yeah, they are nice, I'm going to give 5.
Yeah. And first of all, it's it's either 1 or 5. There's nothing in between. And unless you're Japan, Japanese people actually rate things.
But the big issue also with Google is that I was actually talking to another person that had like a super cool product, which it's more for like operations. But we were talking about the ratings, because he went really down the rabbit hole of the ratings in Google. And he says that in restaurants, if your restaurant has less than 4.4, you go down in the list. And if you have more than 4.4, you go up. So at the end of the day, it's kind of like Google is doing a disservice to itself.
And that's globally. That's to everybody. It's not just on a user per user basis. Like, you're just going to drop from everybody's search.
No, I know, but the thing is, like, it's kind of a disservice into the goal of the ratings, because the goal of the ratings is to tell, okay, this restaurant was okay, this restaurant was amazing, this restaurant was good, whatever you want to do it. But the problem is that now it's like so many things that everything goes down the list if you don't have that 4.4 or 4.5, which means a restaurant, the only thing they care about is not really the food or the experience. It's like how many stars can I make my people give me, my customers give me. And so they do whatever they can, like, here is a free drink, here is a free dessert, here is a 20% off, blah blah blah, if you put a 5-star. So it's the game, but it's not anymore about the food. It's not anymore about the experience. And same thing with the lists. I'm sure there are some lists that
the rich get richer. That's how it works. And actually, I was thinking about this when I was in Europe this summer. I was traveling all year this year. I quit my job and I was working on this full time as I was traveling the world. Went to 18 different countries. I was in Asia, and I went to Yeah, it was honestly, it was too much. I should have spent more time in certain places, but I was in Japan. That was amazing. And I spent the summer in Europe. And in Europe, there was this app that you could use to pay your bill. I think it was a POS system. And so on the, they'd have a QR code, you would scan it, and it was amazing. It was so easy to split the bill. Um, you could pay 50%, you could pay the whole thing, and you could use Apple Pay. It was amazing. It was so easy and intuitive, and I don't know why it doesn't exist here. But the thing that stuck out to me the most about this app is that at the end of the flow, you would go through the whole thing, pay your bill, and then it would take you to the Google Maps page to leave a 5-star review, and it would pop up, and all of the restaurants that use this POS system, I'm forgetting the name, I wish I remember, all of them that used it had like 18,000 reviews, 22,000 reviews. And these are the restaurants that were getting all the traffic. And it was such a brilliant thing. The problem is that like it's they're just reviewing it. It's not, they don't, like
It's not a
it's
review.
easy for them to give. I mean, it feels rude to give anything less than 5 stars, I think.
But yeah, because you're messing up their business.
Of course, it's totally messing up their business. I like the TikTok model more, where it just figures out if you like something or not. They ask you, "Do you love this?" And they don't even ask you that. It's just they figure it out, and they're able to serve you content based off the recommendation engine because they know what you like, and it just all works really well. I'd love to do something like that, or like Spotify for restaurants, and it currently doesn't exist. Something where once you have enough data, you can figure out, I know this person's taste profile, and I know how the things that they like, and we can find other users that have similar taste profiles. It's actually, I'm not really sure what the term is because I haven't built a recommendation engine before, but essentially the way that I've heard Spotify does it is you've got your taste and you like all these different restaurants here. And then you've got this user here who also likes these restaurants in common. And you build these strength profiles. So the people that you have the most in common with, you build these bonds, and that's a cluster. And then you take this cluster of people that you have the strongest profile with, and you say, okay, what are the top 5 restaurants that they all like that you haven't yet liked? And if you haven't liked those restaurants, we'll take that and recommend it to you. So it's not like, hey, you like Thai cuisine, we're going to recommend you some Thai restaurants. That doesn't work that well. It's more like, we see these people have similar taste profiles to you. What do they like? We're going to take that and send it to you.
Like, I know you cannot really relate that to restaurant, but doesn't Spotify also uses like the music and like the tempo and the type of instruments and everything to kind of match? Because I know I've used it, and sometimes they would recommend stuff. I'm like, what the heck? It's really cool, but like I never heard of this band, and I was like, it's exactly the style of music that I like.
That's a black box to me. I have no idea what's going on there. I think they've got
it's a mix
sophisticated. Yeah, I think it's very sophisticated. I'm not sure. TikTok is a beast. I don't know what they're doing, but the recommendation engine's great.
They spy on you, TikTok.
Well, that's probably true. Yeah, that's true.
All of them. Facebook, there is nothing you can you can do without being tracked and analyzed and sliced and diced. And we know because we're on the back end of the platform in Meta and TikTok, and it's kind of crazy what you can get.
Definitely.
But yeah,
I've shown people Hotjar before. Hotjar is a platform that you can track. I mean, I don't think any of it's nefarious. I don't know about TikTok, but that's a different story. But Hotjar lets you track every movement from the mouse on the screen. You can actually see the heat map of where the user is spending their time. I mean, it's all tracked. It's all if it's happening on the browser, you can see what's happening. But people are always mind blown that that's possible. Yeah,
no, we've been using that for a long time. Yeah, but it only works again. It works if you have data. If you have 100 users per day, it's not really going to do anything. You need to have like thousands and thousands.
Yep.
To make it, but no, that's pretty cool. So tell us a little bit about where is it Fuego today? Because I was trying and I saw you need to get on the list and everything. So what's the plan? I would say for the next 365 days.
Well, Fuego's still in private beta. I have it by invite only, and I'll send you a invitation code so that you can get onto it. I thought I did, maybe I didn't. Sorry about that. I'll send it to you again. It's on invite only. And the way it works is that if you're a user, you can invite your friends. I'm doing that for a couple of reasons. I want to make sure that the quality of the product is really high. And I want to make sure that I'm prioritizing features for the people that are using the product the most right now. I'm also using some APIs right now that are quite expensive, so I'm just taking things a bit slowly in the beginning as I build it up. I'm approaching I'm approaching my 100th user now, so I just launched it very recently, and I've been sort of controlling the flow of people coming in. But the growth strategy is hopefully like an exponential network effect if it works properly, in that I'm trying to encourage all users to invite 3 people. So the platform gets better as you invite your friends. Well, actually, this is for 2 reasons, if I'm being honest. One of the fundamental reasons is that I, as a web developer, and when I say web developer, I mean, I'm not making an iOS app. I don't have access to the contacts API from your iPhone or your Android. So because I'm doing it on the web, I have no way of knowing who you know in the world. I'm not using cookies and all this stuff with, I'm not paying people to figure out, like, you know, based off of your tracking data, who you are. So I'm trying to do it by invitation codes. And so if I know who you invite and I know who they invite, then you can create this network in this web and you can know who's invited who and who knows who. It helps build the recommendation engine, because ultimately what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to recommend the best places to people. I'm trying to build a recommendation engine. And so this is one of the strategies to do it. It also helps me control the flow of people coming into the app. If I post on Reddit, I don't want 1,000 people signing up all on the same day. It's going to, I don't know, it's just going to be a bit overwhelming right now. But I'm approaching the point where I've worked out some of the kinks and some of the bugs. I can also give you a demo. I can show you. I can share my screen and show you how it works at some point if you want.
Yeah, for sure. I never offer, because I don't want put people on the spot. But since you're doing it for yourself, be my guest.
Sure. Let's see. I think I actually just screwed something up. So let's see how it works. They just announced Michelin stars in Texas, which is really exciting. So I just scraped all that information, but then I think it deleted the Michelin for everything else. I have a script to undo that. So let me run it. Let me show you pull it up here. Show you how it works. And then I'll get you an invite, and hopefully you can invite a few of your friends that you trust.
And so my question to you is like, I think all of the websites like Yelp and, all those companies, which now Yelp, I'm not gonna go in there. But all these companies started as, we're gonna help you find your thing and help you find this, and then it all ended up being a platform where the only thing you care is how much money can each restaurant or each business can pay you. And then for the restaurants is how can we game the system to make sure we're always on top. So what I'm interested, because I like the idea, I like your idea in the sense that the point is not to recommend restaurant for the sake of recommending restaurant, but really having something that you will like, something that you will get excited to try. And so how do you plan on keeping that integrity of on the platform, of like making sure that the recommendation you're getting are a good recommendation, and not just, again, like trying to scam the system, not scam, game the system to get like 5-star reviews?
Well, I think there's 2 things. And I think the fundamental thing is the monetization strategy. That's something that I've been thinking a lot about lately. It's something that's very difficult on mapping platforms. I think Google doesn't even make a ton of money from Google Maps. It's sort of a funnel to their other products, and they collect data on Google Maps. I don't think it's a free product. So is Apple Maps.
You have the local listing ads, and then you have the you have the local listing ads.
I think there's 2 things, and as the long-term strategy, I think that having a paid model is going to be the thing that is the best way to maintain integrity. There's 2 different people that I listen to. I think that Google is becoming an increasingly flawed product, as is Yelp and a lot of other search engines. And the reason is because of advertising, because you go to somewhere and you look something up, and initially they were serving you results that were best for you, and now they're serving results that are best for them because they're getting paid to do so by other people. OpenAI is an example of a company that is charging. They have a paid model. You pay for ChatGPT, and they don't influence their results with advertising, I think is really nice. It'd be very annoying if you started asking ChatGPT things and it started serving you ads. answers relevant because they're getting paid to do so. That's
Yeah.
where I think
What
that the
is better?
integrity
Is
really
it
falls
Pepsi or
apart.
Coke? Well, Coke is much better. Can you imagine that? You ask question and like it gives you a result based on like who paid the most.
According to our advertisers, it's Pepsi. No, I think that one of the ways, well, there's two things. One, as I said, I think the review system is flawed. I think that asking people to review things, it's the incentives are off. I think that the way that I built Fuego now, right now, I'm just trying to create a better platform for you to be able to share your restaurants with people. Even just having a better UX and experience of taking your Google Maps and being able to like send someone a URL and they're like, oh, this is way better UI to be able to like search the places that you like. So at least we have that. And I think that people want to maintain that, because if you save a place in Fuego, it adds to your list of recommendations. So it's tied to your ego in some sense. So one thing is that like it becomes a pride thing for people. They want to, like, this is a public list that's on their profile. So they're going to want to make sure that they're like manicuring that and maintaining that to be according to like what they actually prefer. The other thing is that they're incentivized to do so because whatever they put on their list is going to influence the search engine. Similar to the way that whatever you put onto your Spotify, I don't think that people are adding things into their Spotify playlists and recommendations because, they have some bad incentives. They just do it because they like it. The same thing with this. You only add things onto your list because you like it, and then ultimately it will influence the recommendation engine, and you'll be getting recommendations better. And the other thing that I said and I mentioned earlier, I think, is the paid model. I think that advertising is sometimes it's a necessary evil, but sometimes it's evil. And I think that when it comes to search engines, and especially when it comes to something with recommendations, that's where the system completely falls down. If you have all these websites that are recommending products, like you search what's the best air filter or what's the best vacuum, and 9 out of the 10 top results in Google are websites that are getting paid to advertise those products, it's a flawed system. You can't trust anything. So I think it all comes down to trust these days, and it's becoming increasingly more important with all this AI generated garbage on the internet and people advertising to get their products recommended by these sources.
Yeah, but it's like Tom Hardware and like all those websites, right? That they do test, but like test.
Yeah, this is a whole nother can of worms, but I read this article recently and oh God, what is it? It's like Meredith.com or something. Gosh, I'm forgetting. There's one giant conglomerate that owns a lot of these websites that are advertising products. There's a few that are still good. I do like Wirecutter, but Wirecutter was acquired by the New York Times, but I lost 20% faith in Wirecutter, but I still think their recommendations are good. They show the testing that they do.
But there is ratings also. That's pretty good.
Which one?
RTINGS.com.
Oh, I haven't heard of it.
Yeah. It's people literally like they go in the store and buy products and test them.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, so it's like crowdsourced.
Yeah. No. It's the team of the website that goes and does the test, but they don't rely on the manufacturer's sample, press sample. They wait for the product to be released, and when it's released, they go buy it from a store, so a random store, and then test it. So that way, it's not like it's not like, oh yeah, here is the the press version, just to make sure. I'm sure most of the press version is the same, but just in case, so that way you're really testing what you can buy.
Right.
So that was pretty cool. That's a pretty good one.
I'm gonna look into that website. RTNGS. I just looked it up. I'm gonna save that for later. Let me give you a little demo here.
Pretty annoying what they say because it goes against what you think, but they did the test. So
here, I'm gonna share this. My screen is so large right now, so it's showing quite a lot. So this is the product here. This is Fuego. It's a bit, my monitor is so large, so it's this big ass map. You know what? I think I can make this smaller if I just do this. I'll just drag this in so the product is there. The map is a little bit less crazy. So this is Fuego, and if I just start with if I actually sign out here, you can see what the landing page looks like. And this is fundamental to what it is. It says, discover restaurants you'll love from sources you trust. I put these sparkles on trust because that's fundamental to the way that this app works.
And if you want, I can give you some other guides, French guides.
Oh, that would be fantastic. I would love that.
Yeah, there is one. It's
You
called
can
the
see the list
Backpacker's
of.
Guide. It's pretty
Okay,
funny, but
that'd be
it's in
great.
French. It's called Le Guide du Routeur. That's the
Oh,
name of the
I would
guide.
love it. Please send that to me afterwards, and
Yeah.
I'll add it in. I'll write a scraper for it and throw it in there. Yeah, we've got table log. I don't know if that's how you say that. World's 50 best statesmen, timeout, and then you can start seeing my top users here that have the most followers and recommendations in here. So let me go and sign in, and you'll be able to see. Here we go. Cool. So, well, now you can see where I am. I'm in LA. I'm in El Segundo. And this is what the app looks like when you first log in. But if I was to go and say, look at Austin, this is exciting because they just incorporated all these Michelin restaurants. The way this list is created is according to these users that I follow. It will show you a sorted list according to which restaurants are recommended the most according to all the sources that you follow. So I follow all these accounts, and I'm seeing this restaurant on top, Franklin Barbecue. Granted, it is the most famous one in, but this is so exciting. This was just added, and it is this is one of my favorite restaurants in Austin, and they just got a Michelin star. It was announced today, so I just scraped this and
Wow.
incorporated it. Fuego's got one of the most up-to-date sources for Michelin. I look on some websites like Talk and everything, and they're great platforms, but some of the data they have there is pretty stale. So that's the one thing that we're trying to stay on top of. Yeah, it sorts these restaurants according to the sources that you follow. So if you go in here, you can slice and dice the thing. Personally, I don't, because I just want to see what are the best restaurants. If you really wanted to, you could go in here and you could sort this. This is sort of an interesting thing. It actually sorts the cuisines according to the top cuisines in the area of the map that you're looking. So if I'm looking at Austin, this is sorted. So American is the #1 most common cuisine type in this area of the map. The #2 is Mexican and seasonal. But if I go to somewhere like Tokyo, that list will be completely different. I've got these other things here, like if it's walk-in friendly, if it's vegetarian friendly, distance from where I am right now, the price. But I did that for other people. I don't use it, but people use it a lot. I don't use that. I do the price sometimes, but I just use it because I want to see what are the restaurants that are recommended the most by all of the people that I follow. So Este is a great restaurant. Here's my users page. On the users page, actually, I can't scroll beyond this because I'm on my admin account, and the admin account shows the emails of everyone, but I don't expose that to other users, so I'm not going to scroll beyond this. Yeah, this is all of the sources that I have, and you can see that there's all these different sources have all of these recommendations, and so you can subscribe and you can decide, do you want to subscribe to Infatuation or Eater or Thrillist or Condé Nast or whatever it may be. So that's sort of it. And this is the invitation link. This is where you can invite users and your friends. It shows you all the people that you've invited, but this is, as I said, it's invite only, and I'm trying to encourage people. You get a little badge on your profile if you invite the number of users that it requires to get the badge. I'm actually going to, I think it's 5, which is too much. I'm going to reduce it to 3. But this is sort of a brief overview of how the product works. It's not based on reviews. It's not 1 to 5 star ratings. It's just recommending things based off of recommendations from your friends and other sources.
And is it available every city, or is just like the cities that for the moment you choose?
Yeah, I actually have these city guides. If I go to, I think this is the list city. So I have these city guides here. This is actually sort of an old version of what the product used to be. These are all the cities that I used to have, and I would upload cities one by one. Now it works on a more global scale, but it only works if there's data for that area. And so there's definitely data in these cities. But some sources, like Michelin, doesn't go everywhere in the world. I know that somebody just signed up in Kentucky, and there wasn't any data in Kentucky, and so that's why, while it's still a small app and it's in the beginning phases, it's really a community effort for people to sync their lists of Google Maps and their recommendations, and then invite their friends. And once you invite 3 friends, there will be enough data in your area that you'll be getting good recommendations, because you're only going to see things recommended by your friends. And you're going to be seeing that list sorted according to what's recommended the most across the friends. So while it may not have data in some cities, the small community that we're building right now, I think we'll be able to build that list up.
Oh, that's it. That's very cool. I like that idea, because I love discovering like really good places. And
Yeah.
actually, you're right, TikTok. And actually, when I go back to France, actually, I go on TikTok to look for restaurant, because there is one company that is called Le Guide Ultime, and they
Mm.
always show like the like the restaurant that people don't necessarily talk about just because it's not the famous restaurant, but always the cool restaurants that
That's
actually
cool.
Parisian go to instead of tourists.
What part of are you from Paris?
No, I'm from the south of France, the Pyrenees.
Pyrenees. What's the
It's
city?
between France and Spain, in the middle of in the middle between France and Spain. So you have like
Okay.
France,
Yeah.
Spain, Pyrenees, right smack in the
Close
middle.
to like Andorra.
Yep, like
Nice.
two
Okay.
hours. Yeah.
Okay. I was just in uh Biarritz.
Oh yeah, that's like an hour and a half from where I'm from.
It's
I used
beautiful
to
there.
go
It's
on
crazy.
vacation there. Yeah.
It's so nice.
When I was a kid, yeah. No, that whole Basque region is beautiful.
Hmm. I didn't know that cheesecake was such a big thing in the Basque Country.
But don't call it cheesecake. You're gonna get enemies. The Basque
Well, that's what they
cake.
called it in English when I was in San Sebastian.
Oh, really?
What do you call
That's
it?
interesting. No, but so the gâteau basque, the Basque cake, I would say.
Hmm.
Maybe they have a name, but like I know that the Basque region, they are very, very picky on, like, you cannot call something different than what they call it, or they get pissed off.
Well, that
So
that
it's
that
pretty
track
funny.
that makes sense to me.
And
I
French
like
people
that
also,
though.
we have like that
I like when
debate.
there's a strong passion around a topic of
Uh,
food. That's good.
it's the same in France. If you go to the south of France, and there is like the pain au chocolat, which is like the chocolate bread, but
Yeah.
in the southwest of France, it's called chocolatine. And if you call it the pain au chocolat, they're gonna say, "Oh my God, that's a Parisian." Or like,
Really?
yeah,
That's a
yeah.
Parisian
Like
thing?
they don't like that you don't call it the name that we call it in the southwest.
I
So they're
had
gonna
no
tell you
idea.
like, that's not how you're supposed to say it. Like I heard that people saying like that's not how you say it.
I had no idea. Wow. That's
Yeah.
so interesting.
Oh yeah, France is very picky about their food
I was
and
in
how
I
you
was
cut
in
it.
I was in Paris and Montpellier actually over the summer. And
Oh, so you went really all over.
oh dude, I went all over. It was a lot. I took my little sister to Paris actually. I love Paris. I've been like 4 times and I absolutely adore Paris. It had been so long since I've been in Paris, I'd forgotten. I think that is the most beautiful city in the world. I think there's no question in my mind. That is such a gorgeous city. The food
Yeah,
is great. I love the people. I think the vibe is great, but the city is so gorgeous. I think I could live in Paris for a little bit.
yeah, in the summer or in the spring, and
I
then
also think I could
after,
live in Japan for a little bit. That was my favorite country I went to.
yeah, no, that I need to go visit. But and so visiting all those countries helped you also with the product.
Yeah, well, for a lot of reasons. I mean, first of all, I would go to the cities and I would create the list for the cities. When I was in Singapore, I should say actually after I left Singapore, I realized that I was so focused on just picking individual restaurants that I forgot to see what is the actual landscape of like the food itself in the city, and not just like a particular restaurant, but like what dishes should I get and what should I understand. So I created guides for each city and said these are the dishes that you should get, and this is the historical context to like what's going on with the food scene in the city. And that was something that happened when I was in Malaysia, because after Singapore I went to Malaysia, and because I didn't have like the super famous chicken and rice dish. That's like a super famous dish there in Singapore, and they have it in Malaysia too. But um, that helped tremendously. And I mean, of course, it also helps because I'm able to validate the restaurants as I'm eating at them, as I'm traveling. The other thing that I realized, this the biggest thing that was different was, I think, Japan, for two reasons. One is the Japanese people, it's its own world. They don't they don't go by recommendations from other places. So I think Fuego, when I first went to Tokyo, was giving me a lot of restaurants that I would go to, and it'd be a bunch of foreigners. It'd be a bunch of white people, it'd be a bunch of Westerners and Europeans and Americans. And I was like, I'm at the wrong place. There's no way this is right. Because all of these lists, like Eater and Michelin's French, Eater's American, I think. Those are written by Americans and French people and whatever it may be. And so the guides were misleading me because they weren't taking me to the local spots. Tabalog is the best source of recommendations in Japan. That's what Japanese people use. And so I incorporated that into the app, and it significantly improved the results in Tokyo and Osaka and Kyoto. The other thing is that, and I kind of mentioned this earlier, but this was a really interesting one. If you see a restaurant in Tokyo that's 3.4 stars, 3.8 stars, 3.8 stars is pretty good in Tokyo, because Japanese, it's one of the few cultures that they actually rate it like 1 through 5. It's not 1 or 5. They actually give it a rating. And so a restaurant that's 4.1 is going to be mind-blowing. I don't think a 5 exists. 5 is like impossible in Japan. But
That's
a 4.6 will be a mind-blowing experience if it's recommended by Japanese people.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Oh, another trick that I learned, this is helpful when you're traveling. I've heard, I don't know if they've updated this at all, but I've heard that it can be very helpful to search for restaurants in the language that of the country that you're in. So you look up how to say restaurants in Spanish, restaurantes, and then you would look that up instead of restaurants. Or you would look up certain phrases in that language. So if you want a certain type of cuisine, you can search for it in that language. If you're in Japan, you would look up the katakana for restaurants, and you would put that into Google, and it would give you more localized results. So that was one thing that was really helpful. I mean, I use Fuego, but I do a lot of different sources because I'm looking at all these lists. So looking up in the localized version can be really helpful.
That's pretty cool. So next step, getting a bunch of users, trying the platform, making playlists of, of restaurants.
Yeah.
And,
Discover Weekly. I mean, it's going to be very similar to Spotify. Discover Weekly. This is your top pick. Like, this is what we want to send you, and just generally get recommendations.
Do you think you would allow restaurants to advertise on your platform, but instead of advertising to get ratings, it would be more just like general advertising of like, try this week, and being able to have visibility on the platform rather than just showing up more because of ratings?
Well, I think there's two things. One, I will never add advertising that will allow restaurants to change the search results. I mean, at the bare minimum, it would, if that was to happen, it would show something in a very clear thing that this is an ad. But I don't want it to be mixed into the results.
Kind of like a display ad, for example.
Could be, but I think that what you recommended is decent. Like restaurants that are trying to offer certain promotions or whatever. And it can be similar to Instagram. Instagram ads have gotten much better lately in the sense that they know what you like. And so, yeah, I mean, maybe these restaurants can target users that they know either like them or are more likely to like them. And they can send some sort of an offer like, hey, come have $20 off at our restaurant if you come eat here within the next like 2 weeks or something like that. That's something that I think.
Come back and the first cocktail is on us.
Something like that. It could be, yeah.
That could be a cool idea, yeah, for sure, to be able to give the opportunity of restaurants that people don't want to subscribe to their list or whatever, to be able to still reach out to these people and then make offer to come back and stuff like that.
What I especially like is the idea of a smaller restaurant or a new restaurant being able to get the name out there, get the word out. And so maybe there's a way that we can help those smaller restaurants get on the platform and at least get in. If there's like lists that are getting created, like Discover Weekly, that could be put onto a Discover Weekly list for users. Like, hey, this is a brand new restaurant, go check it out.
So really curated on top of recommendation, having also like a curated list.
Yeah, but not curated by I mean, I'm the sole developer of Fuego. No one else has worked on this. So it wouldn't be curated by me. It would be curated by an algorithm that's personalized to you because we know what your taste
Mm.
profile is.
Okay, so yeah, since you like tacos, here is like a new taco place you should try.
Or because you like all these different restaurants, more likely. We've curated this because we know that you've got all these other users, and we've created a recommendation based off of the recommendations of those people. So here you go. This is what we like that you might like.
Yeah, yeah, a little bit more sophisticated, but I get the point. No, it's really cool. I'm super excited. I love those ideas, and I know that as I would say, we're advancing in the world, people like to care more about experiences rather than things.
Hmm.
And so, you see also on TikTok and Instagram, all those people just going to restaurant to show you, the experience of eating at the restaurant, and you should come and stuff like that. So definitely room for improvement and new
Well, those
ideas.
videos are very compelling, and yeah, I mean, I've even looked at them in Japan, but ultimately, I don't know, I think they're very short-sighted because it only focuses on the aesthetics of a restaurant, and while that's an important part, like it's not the full thing. I get very annoyed when I go to a restaurant that looks really good, and I just went to a restaurant recently that they put flowers on every single dish. I won't name what restaurant it is, but they put flowers on every dish, and it was very Instagrammable, and it was very expensive, and the food was good, but it wasn't great, and I paid a lot of money for those stupid flowers on the restaurant. So
No, but I
I
mean, more the videos that at least I look at are like, that Omoris, there is this Japanese guy who's like make this special omelet, and
hmm.
I don't know exactly, but like they twist it with the chopsticks and then like
Oh, I've
put
seen
it in
that
like a little bowl, and then they cut it and it kind of like melts, and
yeah.
I want to try that.
For sure. Japan was great for the video content. I actually found some great recommendations from Instagram. So
Uh,
it can work. I agree with that.
yeah, no, for sure. All right, cool, Tyler. It was amazing having you. Now I'm hungry, so I'm gonna wait for the invitation and see what the recommendations are in my area.
Absolutely.
Um,
I'm excited.
but yeah, no, I love tasting stuff and trying things. So yeah, that was a really cool conversation. I'm
Yeah.
really looking forward to seeing what Fuego has for us in the next year. I would say, because it's November 12th at the time of the recording, so it's almost the end of the year. So I'm super excited. I'll be following you, and I wish you and Fuego all the best in this
Thank you, Alex.
effort to help people, discover better restaurants.
I appreciate it. Thanks. It's been a pleasure to be on the show. I really liked it.